Anyone else got anything they wanted to reveal, pitch?
Okay, I will try something. Now, can you just be aware that I've just thought of this? So please
yes,
don't let me
good.
apart. Okay, so I went to the University of Kent and they have a stand-up comedy course, which is I think there's only one other university in the country that has a stand-up comedy course. So potentially documenting a group of comedians and their rise and fall, because there are events that you can go to that like help comedians kind of do their first sort of stand-up gig, really. But I think it's quite interesting seeing like the buzz when they come off the stage, but equally there are some events where they do a gig and nobody's there, or it's just awful.
I'd watch that. Would you all? Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
good
okay,
idea.
Thanks. I thought you were going to be like, stop boring off.
No. I've heard enough to know that it's interesting. You've got ups and downs, drama. You've got jeopardy. Will it work? You know, will my show work? You know, nerves. The ones that succeed, the ones that don't. And you can have, you can see them going out into the world. The only question I would have is over how long a period you'd need to film it. And the trouble is, if you're trying to film it over a 3-year course, is it a 3-year course?
No, it's only 1 year, the last year.
Okay, fine. So in other words, you might be able to do it over 1 year, and you'd probably have to set up something at the Edinburgh Fringe or something, as a sort of final test. I think that's a great idea, and I'd definitely watch it. Yeah. But again, be clear, and you're absolutely honest about only thinking this up at the moment. The hesitation, sort ofs, and likes, and so on. Really get it down to that one simple.
But I mean, that's amazing. That list you just gave. You can pretty much build a pitch on what you've just given today.
You'll do a good one.
I'm like, I want a notepad and paper. I want to write all this stuff down.
You'll do a good one. It may not be perfect, but nonetheless, it'll good. Yeah, I'd watch that.
I just want to say I like the other side of that story, which is, oh my God, there's a degree course in stand-up comedy, and someone somewhere is going to pay £9 a year in tuition fees in order to attend a course in stand-up comedy.
Good or oh my God, bad?
You decide for yourself.
Depends which red top is writing about it.
You'll get somebody who can rant about that, I'm sure, definitely.
I mean, there's a whole number of things. You'd need to think carefully about which broadcaster it was going to and what slot it was going into. Is it something where you might want a presenter? You might want a well-known current stand-up comic. I don't know, Paul Merton or something, whatever it is, who's going to go along and watch and comment and maybe give advice. And in which case, if you do want that, then make sure you've got Paul Merton or whoever it happens to be signed up. Make sure you've got the university and the students signed up. The students would love it, and the university would, because it gives them exposure.
BBC Three.
Yeah.
Oh, everything goes there when it's not so.
And for heaven's sake, and your 360-degree stuff is, a website where people can, or a Twitter feed where people can actually, or whatever it is, can send in jokes, or material for the people to try, and they've got to use the material that's sent in by the audience. There's a whole load of stuff that you can do. And nobody ever got rich or got successful by if they forgot that nearly all television is about entertainment. Even if it purports to be the most serious documentary ever about wildebeest, actually, it needs to be entertaining. It needs to be a story.
I like the television that's like following people and their lives and their emotions.
I think, and that would do it. And you instantly know there's emotion. Because you can imagine, even if you've only ever been in a school nativity play, you can imagine what it must be like coming off after, or being hauled off after a minute because your actor's failed. What was that show where they used to have a stick, a big, a bit like a big walking stick, or a gong? Basically, if the audience weren't laughing, they'd bang the gong, and or the trap door would open and the comic would disappear. There's always that,
Yeah.
Any other ideas?
I do have a pitch, but it's not so much aimed at the broadcasting industry.
Well,
I just wondered if I could get some feedback.
Of course you can. Yeah. I mean, remember what I'm saying. I said earlier, perhaps I wasn't very clear, is that if you're pitching to West Somerset Railway about something, you need to be clear about what you can offer to them.
Go Okay, well, basically my name's Ed. For those of you around who don't already know me, I'm a freelance 3D artist living locally to Bridgewater. I've recently approached Phil wanting to get involved with the engine room and Somerset Film because I think it's just great what they're doing, getting local people involved in the media industry.
Thank you for the plug.
So basically what I wanted to do was try and introduce my skills, which are predominantly with CGI and 3D animation, and see if we can somehow integrate them into what the engine room are doing. So
so what's your pitch to Phil?
Basically the proposal I put to Phil was that if we were able to get hold of some of the copies of the educational software, which are free from the software creator, we could perhaps do a small workshop to begin with, and in basically 3D visualization, which would be aimed at engineering students at Bridgewater College and the engineering industry in Bridgewater, which is obviously quite quite a large industry, and then basically they can import their model files of engineering products, or it could even be architectural models. We can then bring them into the animation software, put realistic materials and lighting on their models, and render them out, animate them for their presentation purposes themselves. So because basically if you use a piece of software like AutoCAD, which is the industry standard, when it's displayed as a 2D visual, it's just matte colours, no lighting, shadow. So
I think it's not an area that I know, but I can see the appeal of something that works and helps the engineering industry and students. I can definitely see the appeal of a sort of collaboration which involves, people with very specific, 3D skills, with the engine room, with the college, with businesses. That's interesting. I think, if I may make a general point about what you're saying, is that it seems to me this is quite a good example of knowing who you're pitching to.
Yeah.
Now, as soon as you start talking about, I know roughly what rendering a file is.
Yeah.
And AutoCAD, I think, is something to do with computer-aided design.
That's
but
right.
I noticed that I was getting puzzled because I'm not, so who are you pitching to? And I'm sorry, I'm making a general point here.
Okay.
Think who it is. Am I likely to understand the the complexities, no, not even the complexities, the details, good 12-year-old word, of computer-aided design and the engine room and the industry around Bridgewater and how it could work? I'm not. So if, on the other hand, I was an engineering lecturer, I would be, I assume. So think about who you're pitching to. I think the other thing is, again, if I may use you to make a point, is that you need, if you're pitching verbally or on paper, you need to be, except in a forum like this where everybody's friendly, except when I say with respect to somebody, you need to be clear, because as soon as you start wandering off and saying we could do this, they might be able to, or they could do this. So what you're saying is this is a wonderful new package which combines education, industry, and the media to provide students with a way of realising their projects in full 3D. Is that what it is?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, okay, I get that and I can understand it. That's the top level. Then when it comes to the level of the of the detail, that's what goes into, if you like, what I was talking about, the outline, the details, who you've got, which special techniques you're going to use. But again, be absolutely clear, because you won't.
I got a bit muddled. Even just talking to the group, I got a bit muddled. But
you see, I think the thing is that, again, what I said, that's about practice and it's about thinking it through. The more often, you'll often find that, as an exercise I sometimes do if we're doing a detail workshop on pitching, I get somebody, assume, let's pretend you two don't know each other.
Okay.
And I get you to tell your idea to your next door neighbour.
Okay.
And then he or she has to pitch it.
Right.
And you'd be amazed at the amount of obfuscation, mustn't use that word, at the clarity which comes from somebody else picking out the important bits of your idea.
Sure.
And so it may even be worth using that as a little game yourself. You know, I mean, just talk about it with the rest of the team, with your friends. You know, this is what I want to do. Can you express it clearly? And it's often because we have far too much knowledge, you know, in our heads, and we see it in a particular way. And I think they will be able to do that. I think that's an interesting idea. I think I would argue that what I've said about clarity, concision, you know, conciseness, you know, bullet points, highlights, you know, the order you put things in, you know, even putting your contact details and your copyright line on it, absolutely pertains.
I think as well, when you're doing it verbally, you don't have the delete button, or you can't rearrange sentences. So
it's true.
I think it'll be written down.
Yes,
it'll
yes.
be
Practice.
Yeah.
Know what your pitch is.
Yeah.
Have your it's, people understand that you search for words and the rest of it, but you really shouldn't be searching for words when you're describing an idea that you're passionate about. If I feel that you're searching for words about a project, I'll think you actually don't really understand it.
Yeah.
Is Phil looking at it?
I think, it's time to get on this fascinating session, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to call a halt at this point. What I really like about Ed's thing is that he's brought something to us with a market in mind.
Yes.
People come in quite a lot and say, oh, I'd love to do this and that and the other thing. But Ed comes in and says, I've got this idea, and actually it would appeal to these people, and I can see the logic of it. I think it would, if we get it right. So, thank you, Ed. But
I'm very aware, I hope somebody will point out to me that I once turned down that wonderful feature film about the vegan dog and the animal activists. You know, am I the man that turned down the Beatles? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew.